Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 3 of the World Chess Candidates Final. This tournament will determine who plays Magnus Carlsen in November of this year for the World Championship. The other 3 games were gone. This game is between former world champion from Bulgaria, Veselin Topalov, is white, and Levin Aronian from Armenia is black. Levin drew a game and lost a game. He lost in round 2, so if he loses again, that's 2 in a row. So we'll have to see how it goes. Topalov is white, Aronian is black. It's going to be a English 4 knights. Go through the opening a little bit here. We're not really about opening. I'm sure this is all theory. I have no doubt. For those of you who don't play chess and know what theory means, it's basically a series of moves in an opening that have been pre-tested, preset. A3, chase off the knight, and then D3. Try to get that pawn out of there. It's kind of a pain in the behind for white. D5, and white just simply castles. Pawn takes, queen takes, knight E5 hitting the queen, and Veselin goes queen to D4. Now, things haven't gone so well, I don't think, for Veselin in the opening here. We're on move 13. And shows an advantage for black. He's got 2 minor pieces developed. He's castled. I don't think it's half a point advantage for black. That's what the computer shows. I think it's basically even. Knight takes. E4. Bishop E6. B3, kicking the knight. Knight goes back to A5. He shows it as the best move. Frankly, I like knight to B6 myself. Knight to A5. Queen to A4. Knight to C6. Pretty normal stuff. And this is where I think Veselin stumbles. Now, granted, the move he's going to make is a very natural move. I like bishop G5 myself, or pawn takes. He goes rook to D1, and the computer shows a question mark. I don't think it's a question mark move. It might be an inaccuracy. If he had taken instead, after knight takes, bishop B2, and it's an even game. But after rook to D1, knight takes, bishop B2, queen E7. Black's up 2 pawns. He just stumbled. I don't know if it was just a miscue, or as Akaro Nakamura used to say, I just hallucinated. But white is down 2 pawns, so absolutely, in my opinion, very little, if any, compensation. B4, A6, queen goes to C2, which she was going to go anyway. Threading bishop takes, E4, pawn takes, queen takes. And there is no big deal discovery with bishop moves on E6. F6. Rook A to C1. What's Topalov going to do here? Rook A to D8. Bishop F1. I mean, poor Veselin. I mean, he did so well. I believe he won Norway Chess in the Grand Chess Tour. Granted, he got the first game when Magnus lost on time. But even still, he still had to make the rest of the games to beat all those players. So he's still capable of doing it. We're all getting a little older, but Veselin still has it. If bishop had taken instead, those of you are wondering, after D takes, queen F7. White's only up a pawn. Black should be okay. But after bishop F1, rook D7. Computer likes rook D1. Well, why are you going to move the rook again? Decided to go F3 to kick the knight. Knight goes back to D6. Now, I've had this happen to me in tournament games. I'm not saying I'm Topalov or even close to his strength. But you get in a position where you're screwed up, Now he's down 2 full pawns. He lost the last round. And now he's got to work his hardest and try his damnedest just to draw. It's a horrible feeling. Horrible feeling as a player. So reluctantly he goes rook to e1. Granted, it pins the bishop against the queen, but I just think it loses the tempo. Queen f7. Bishop d3. Hitting the h7 pawn. Going g5. Not only does it attack the knight, but now the discovery when the pawn moved, the queen guards the h-pawn. Knight to g2. I mean, it's like what's that old video game I used to play when I was young, Space Invaders, where the pawns are just coming now. I mean, look at them all. Knight to c4. f4. Trying to open it up a little bit. Knight takes, queen takes, bishop h3. He's trying to fight back. He really is. Of course, black's not going to take that pawn on f4 because after knight takes, that knight's in a really good spot there. And plus, even if he does, these 2 pawns will be isolated, and they don't want that. a4. h6. b5. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Knight has to move. I mean, this is just miserable for Topalov. I wonder what's going through his mind right now. He lost round 2. This is round 3. He's going to lose 2 in a row. I would assume, being in his 40s, this is his last chance ever to get into the World Championship, i.e. through the candidates final. Queen f2. Knight f5. Queen. King g7. White doesn't want to trade pieces. It's just one of those, you're down to material. It's the last thing that you want. King h1. Rook d7. Daddy's got to take to get the file. Queen takes. Queen h5. Almost 2-point advantage, of course, for black. How is white going to salvage this? A bishop takes, king takes, knight e3 check. King goes to g1, f5. And here comes 11. Here comes the pawns. Here comes just right after him. Queen e2. Now that was a move the computer didn't like at all. I didn't think it was that bad, but it was really a bad move. F takes g5 is the choice on the computer, which doubles up and isolates those pawns, but queen e2 is actually much worse. Much worse. Rook to f6. We didn't like that move at all either. d4 was the computer's choice, and I agree. It helps protect the knight. And also, with the pawn move, the knight can now come back and protect the queen with a discovery. Rook f6. Queen b2. Pitting the rook. G takes. G takes. King h7. Just getting out of the pen. No point leaving it there. King h1. And now 11 is going to tighten the noose. Look at this. You got the knight bearing down. Got the rook bearing down. This rook's going to come over eventually. Queen e2. Now he reinforces the knight on e3. I mean, he got a knight on the 6th rank. That's just deadly. Queen to f3. And then c6. A simple move like that. He has to take. Pawn takes. h3. Now he's got 2 connected passers coming right down the tubes here. Rook to g6. Ah, look at this. Rook b1. Rook g3. Hitting the queen and attacking the pawn on h3. Queen has to go to h5 to save the pawn. Queen to d7. King h2. Rook checks, of course. King has to go to h1. And then the killer blow. Queen at d5. And that rook can go to a lot of places on the discovered check. Give you an idea. You probably could. You have to give up the queen in order to save the position. That's actually the computer's choice, is giving up the queen. Anyway, folks, tough break for Veselin. He just miscued in the opening early middle game and lost two very good pawns, but I believe no compensation at all. I guess the crap happens, we say in the United States. In the other games, they were all drawn. I do want to say I feel very badly about Karl Nakamura when he played at Karyakin, when he blundered the knight takes g3. He just missed it, and that's what happens sometimes. But anyway, folks, that's one of the games from round 3 of the World Chess Candidates Final 2016. I hope you enjoyed it. Look for other games coming up from this tremendous, tremendous tournament. Winner going to the World Championship. And as I always say, folks, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.